I'm going to ask everybody to mute yourself, other than Katie, of course. And then if you have a question, put it in the chat box so that Katie can see it. I really am excited tonight. I want to introduce Katie Brennan, who is with the National Foundation for Disaster Search Dogs. I'm not sure if I got that in the right order, but
It's okay.
at any rate, this is something that has always been a great interest to me, and I hope you all enjoy it as well. So, Katie, I'm going to let you go ahead and take off.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Kathy. This is, we always love sharing about our program and what we do and how we do it. Not just being proud of what we do day to day, but also, kind of letting people know that are involved in shelter and rescue world, sort of what we're looking for. The more eyes out, the better for these types of dogs. And I'll go into kind of some more specifics as to that. One quick thing, I do apologize. I have a history of vocal nodes, and I was at a conference all this past weekend. So if you see me taking sips of water, it's to just kind of keep things moving. So if I need to pause really quickly, I might do that. So our organization is called National Disaster Search Dog Foundation. It is very long, but Search Dog Foundation, or SCF, is perfect. We're all up on socials with the whole, National Disaster Search Dog Foundation on Facebook, and then Instagram, just Search Dog Foundation. So feel free to take a look. I'll kind of pop in our Facebook in the chat, because it's you get the whole thing. You get stories, you get all the feel good stuff, and we're pretty active on that platform, as well as Instagram. So feel free to always take a look. So what do we do? How did we come about? I'm gonna cover it all for you guys. I've got, again, like Kathy mentioned, any burning questions, pop them in the chat. Potentially there's a chance I might address them, or be kind of waiting to address them later on. So I might just kind of put a quick pin in it, but I will make sure I get to answer everything. And I have dual monitors. So if you see me looking up, that is probably why. Got a bunch of stuff open all at one time. And I popped our website in the chat too. So I'll kind of start with the beginning. How did we start? How are we formed? So we actually were formed in 1996. So we are from the 90s. So we've been doing search and rescue based things with the canine side for 28 years now. And it all started with our founder, Wilma Melville, who is, my goodness, I'm biased, I know, but an incredible person, just amazing. And she is a former school teacher. She's still with us. I think she just celebrated her 90th birthday. She's doing it. She's amazing and just the best. And so she was a school teacher, like I mentioned, and she also was a canine search handler. Her dog Murphy, Labrador. So she was deployed to the Oklahoma City bombings. And that is literally kind of the beginning of the thoughts behind SDF. She recognized and realized that there were just not enough teams. There were not enough competent, ready to deploy dog handler teams out there for what was needed in this, man-made disaster. And then, unfortunately, these things keep happening, right? Whether it's, earthquakes, fires, floods, hurricanes, and then some unfortunate man-made things, you name it. We kind of deal with it on the regular. And so her mission was to find these dogs and create more deployable, wonderful, competent teams, right? Ready to go at a moment's notice. So her kind of mission, this number she had in her head was 168. That's for every life lost in the Oklahoma City bombings. So she made that her mission, to come up with 168 trained, ready to go teams. That was actually realized in, I think, February of 2020, when the 168th Search Dog Foundation trained team certified. So she's reached her milestone, which is amazing. And we're not slowing down. If anything, we are picking up the pace, because again, there's no shortage of need for these dogs. So with Wilma's, ingenuity, her relationship with an amazing trainer named Klaus Stravern, they kind of began the foundation in California. And it has just grown. We have I think it's 40 now full-time staff members. We are completely and utterly donor based. We are a nonprofit. We are in this to create these amazing teams. And one of the kind of stats we have out there is like $50,000. That's about how much it takes to make this happen for these teams. How much the training costs, the care of the dog, the whole nine. At the end of the day, we actually donate that dog. So we don't ask for that. We want these dogs, like I said, ready to go, health tested, medically screened, and of course, ready to certify and get out the door. So how do we do it? Where do we get our dogs? So our dogs are specifically trained for disaster search live find. So these are the dogs looking for live people buried in the wreckage of disaster or in other types of scenario. We have some teams that deploy for missing people. We have teams that deploy for, like I said, all sorts of disaster settings. They don't have to be national FEMA responses. They can also be some more local responses. Kind of you name the disaster, we have teams that have been there, done that, more than likely. We also have some dogs that deploy internationally. So earthquakes in Turkey last year, we had a few dogs that were out there as well. There are 2 FEMA teams that will deploy internationally, and we're fortunate to have dogs on each. It's Virginia 1, and I believe it's California 2, called USA 1 and USA 2 once they're out, in international planes. So we do have a few dogs that are trained for human remains detection. It's not really like what we do. We can do it. We have done it. We tend to just specialize in the live find, but it happens that there were some task force teams that we had worked with in the past for, gosh, at this point, decades, and they were in need of some human remains dogs, and we've actually had them deployed now a few times. Colorado for some fires more recently, and then also to Hawaii for the big fire last year, this year, or I don't know what year it is anymore, but you guys know what I mean. So we have had teams that have certified in that as well. But again, the vast majority are live find dogs. So when we are looking for a dog, of course, there are many ways to go about getting dogs. There are organizations and programs that have breeding programs, that have puppies that they kind of start raising that way. Sort of at the heart of what we do is the rescue and shelter dogs. We have gotten dogs from service dog organizations, therefore from kind of breeding programs. We do have some breeders that have donated dogs or donated puppies. We don't really do puppies that often, just based on kind of the length of stay of our program and all that good stuff. But it has happened in the past. Sometimes the stars align and it kind of works out for us. But again, the majority for us are owner surrenders, shelter, and rescue dogs. So in terms of how do we find them, how do we come about these dogs? So for us, it's a bit of a numbers game. It's casting the widest net possible, letting people know what we're looking for, how to be in touch with us when they find a potential dog, and how they can kind of go through our screening process from afar. We don't have people in every city in the country, and that's okay. And as we know, shelter staff and rescue folks are they're stretched pretty thin. So we definitely don't expect everybody to become an expert in the subject matter in a short period of time, especially because we're a little bit looking for those needle in a haystack type of dogs, right? There are so many things that we look for characteristics wise that, they are kind of hard to find, but once you find them, it's a little bit obvious that they're not going to be the most successful in a walk a day, some fetch in the yard type of home setting. They literally need a job, right? We hear it all the time. They need a job. So I want to go into exactly what that entails for us, exactly what we're looking for. So we're looking for those dogs that are between 1 and 2. Again, I mentioned there have been some puppies. Again, it's not kind of what our program is based around. It does happen, but again, we are that 1 to 2 year range. That's kind of our sweet spot. The reason we like the dogs to be a little bit older than kind of puppy age is we can x-ray them. We can get a good idea as to kind of what's going on internally, how things have developed, make sure growth plates are closed, the whole 9, before we begin some of the more physically demanding aspects of our training, because it is pretty physically demanding. We also like the idea of kind of, they're a bit older, they're a bit more set in their ways, whatever that might mean to you, but it's true, right? You know, they've probably maybe gone through some potential fear periods, and they kind of are developed into who they are. Not that they can't change, we know they can. Dogs do things all the time to humble us and make us wonder. They're not robots, but for the most part, we can get a pretty good read as to kind of their temperament, and what that's going to be throughout their lifetime. When we are talking about breed types, for us, we're kind of open to almost any breed type. There are 5 breed types that historically have done the best in this type of work. So we do like to mention them to, again, we like to say cast a wide net, but maybe narrow things down a smidgen more depending. But those would be Labrador Retrievers, Golden Retrievers, Australian Shepherds, Border Collies, and then German Shepherds. Those are kind of the 5 big ones. But again, for us, for our program, we're very much open to all types of breeds, breed types, mixes. I don't know what you are, the whole 9, right? We're here for it. In terms of, you know, more characteristics that we're looking for those dogs that are friendly. Again, we are Disaster Search Live Find. They're kind of finding strangers in a chaotic environment. So friendly is a must with people. In terms of other dogs, we say friendly neutral. They're on a team with other dogs out in a deployment setting. You have no idea what you're going to come across, stray, loose, etc. So we definitely want to make sure that there's no, you know, reactivity, fear, aggression with other dogs. We have some dogs in our program that love playgroup. They're playgroup rock stars. This is one of the highlights of their, you know, their week. We do it a few times a week. And then we have some that are just like, no, I just kind of want to play with the human and my toy, right? And I'll get to toys in a minute. And that's cool too. Totally cool with that. Love a neutral dog, no problems on our end. Other types of things we're looking for, those dogs that kind of aren't bothered by anything in the environment, loud sounds, weird objects. And if they kind of do a little like, what was that? They're very, very quick to be like, oh, okay, we're cool, you know, right? They don't really need much. Based on the job, they're going anywhere potentially at a moment's notice in who knows what kind of form of transport. And they've got to hit the ground running once they get there, right? So that environmental soundness and boldness, confidence, kind of anywhere is definitely something we're looking for. Medically, they've got to be pretty much clear, no medical concerns. Behaviorally, other stuff we're looking for, no resource guarding, again, no bite histories, just thinking of the type of settings they might find themselves in, and of course making sure that they are successful along with our handlers that have to learn to work with these wonderful creatures. And then the toy drive. So there are hundreds of thousands of dogs that tick all of those boxes I already went through. The toy drive is what kind of sets it apart for a lot of these potential candidates for us. These are the dogs that need to play with a toy. Not once, not like, yeah, I'll play fetch and then I'll kind of get tired. No. Like they will be nonstop. Your shoulder will kind of start to fall out. Like they are go, 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 fetch, tug, whatever their game of choice is. We are here for it. I kind of use the kind of way of looking at it. If I were to take their tennis ball and throw it off a cliff, they're going. There's no questions being asked. Okay. I'm not doing that. And we do want them to eventually think before they act sometimes, but this is the type of dog we're looking for. A really intriguing story. He's okay, so we're cool. But we had a dog come in, like 70-pound Labrador, definitely never been on a leash before, you know, shelter dog, whatever, it's fine. He, you know, I think was found as a stray. He came into us, you know, the whole 9, and he was literally the definition of bull in a china shop. One of the tests that we perform is rubble testing on our dogs from the get-go. We want to see how they are on some interesting unstable surfaces. We don't start with the crazy surfaces. We get there through training and confidence building, but we start with a little bit of an easier time. And there was this huge cement rectangular, I don't even know what the proper term for this is, but it's in our rubble pile. And a hole where you can put a lid for people to hide. It had rained. There were inches and inches and inches of water in here. It was a bad, like little period of time with a lot of heavy rains, which, SoCal, that's pretty cool. Very intriguing. My guy was hunting for his ball during the screening test. We had task force members there watching because they always want to see the dogs being screened. It's part of the process. We want them to know what we're looking for as well. And a little bit making sure they know what they're getting into too, which they do. They're very committed by the time they get a dog from us. So anyway, this creature was running, searching for his ball, using that nose, doing all the right stuff. And he went to leap kind of over this thing. Well, he didn't quite have enough, of the horizontal height. Got a lot of vertical, not as much horizontal. And he went boom, like Scooby-Dooed into this hole. Like it was like he just was in there. And we're like, oh my goodness. And he's on a harness, because we screen with a harness. It's a little easier to hold dogs back, And so we all run it. We all go running, right? Running. And he's in the hole. He's in the water. He's kind of like doing weird, like, I got to get out. How do I get out? So luckily we had a few of our task force members like reach in, they grabbed him. He kept going. Didn't care. He's like, yeah, that was fine. My ball though. I need to go find this. Like that's crazy. We love it. We love it. He is now certified. He's incredible. And that is the type we're looking for. It is the, action first, think later type of dogs. And we teach them to think. Don't get me wrong. We definitely do. That hole has been covered ever since during a screening, just so we're clear. We're like, well then, okay, we learned something today. But yeah, so once we identify those dogs, either an owner surrendered directly to us, a shelter or rescue reaches out with a potential dog. We might even see a dog on Facebook, on Instagram, the whole nine. Basically, however we come across a lovely creature that we want to look into. We ask for all of the info that an organization might have on the dog, behavior, medical, the whole nine. We have some questions, the basics, how they're with people, how they're with dogs, all of it, just kind of getting to know them a little bit better. And then the cool thing is COVID sort of forced our hand with this because nobody was getting into an animal shelter. So even if we had people that could go in and test these dogs, no one was getting in. Sometimes the volunteers weren't even getting in, right? So we had to rely a little bit more on the staff getting in there, the volunteers that were allowed to go in as well. So we actually developed a fully remote screening process, completely remote. We send a video instruction list, corresponding sample videos, which we'll kind of go through some of those shortly. And our shelter partners and rescue partners and individual owners, service dog orgs, whoever, they just replicate for us. This allows us to reach so many more dogs than ever before. And again, it's making, location totally a non-issue. Once we find a dog and we have completed this video screening, the question we're asking is, will this dog love what we're doing? That's it. We don't want to put a square peg in a round hole. These dogs need to love every aspect of their work to, from a welfare standpoint, yes, we want them to be happy. They're amazing beings with wonderful thoughts. But also from a safety standpoint, right? If they're not loving what they're doing, they're not into it, they're scared, they're whatever, that's a safety risk for many, 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 many involved, right? Handler, task force team, individuals lost, etc. Right? So we always want to make sure that we're thinking of that first and foremost before they even come out to us. We want to say, all right, I think they're going to like it. I think they're going to have a blast. Once they come out to us, we have a kennel type environment, but again, it's not quite your typical. The rows don't really face each other. It's very spacious. We have 140 acres. It's gorgeous. Unbiased, I know. It's gorgeous. And we always let our dogs decompress, hang out, walks, hikes, playtime, you name it. They get to start living their best life the second they come to us. And that includes, again, a ton of enrichment on the daily and exercise. So we let our dogs settle in, and then we start doing, I mentioned that screening process. We do one of those with our dogs. We do their medical, their x-rays, that whole thing, that whole process. And then we begin. The program itself is 9 to 12 months. It is a long haul for these dogs. Again, they're loving every minute. They don't know. They just get to go to school, work every day, and have the greatest time. And then they're paired with their handler. So in terms of kind of our handler base, and I am looking at my notes because I had to take some notes. I did some counting. It's very, it's a lot. I was like, oh man. So we have, because it changes so frequently, so I always have to count and keep track. So we have 92 current search teams throughout the United States. We have dogs that, again, the vast majority are on FEMA task forces. We do have some dogs and handlers that are kind of more regional, local task forces or search groups, but the majority are FEMA. So 92 teams a lot in California. Proximity makes sense, right? Virginia, Nebraska, New York, Oklahoma, and Utah. We have had teams, I believe, in Florida and other locations as well. We just might not have anybody at that moment. But we're pretty much always looking for task forces that would like dogs from us. And we're constantly working on, maintaining our relationships with all task forces. One such way is we end up sharing our facility with whoever would like to come out and train. We're not trying to close off things. We are very fortunate to have been able to create this amazing campus with rubble piles and search props and the whole nine. Actually, I'll see if I can we have a drone tour somewhere too. I want to see if I can find that for you guys. I think you'd love it. And again, the goal is to just not make it all about us. The goal is community. The goal is bringing people together, helping each other learn and grow so that, again, when disaster strikes, we've got amazing teams, not just Search Dog Foundation trained teams, but all of them throughout the country. And we're lucky that, a lot of amazing groups have come in and used, and it's not just task forces too, sheriff's departments, other detection agencies, the whole nine. We definitely want to keep our facilities open and, kind of keep giving, right, to the communities that give us so much. And I'm actually going to look for this drone video while we're chit-chatting a little bit too. So yeah, and I'm going down my question list here. So, okay, so yes, so we bring a dog out, we go through the whole thing. Maybe they don't really like the rubble. Maybe they are a little bit iffy with a lot of strangers out and about because it's a lot. At any given moment, we kind of need our dogs to be happy to go with anyone at any time. It's just part of the job, just part of what might happen out on a deployment setting. So that being said, what are all of our alternatives? We're very lucky to have quite a few. So the first would be, because again, there's a reason these dogs are with us. So the first is going to be, those dogs that do need a job. They really do. So we're going to look for their perfect career, their perfect fit, whether that's a single purpose law enforcement job, conservation detection, research detection, kind of, you name it, we potentially have placed a dog in it. The wonderful thing about this is more and more types of detection work are popping up on the daily. We know that our dogs are amazing. We know they've got great noses. And we are just coming up with more and more ways of using them for this. And again, letting them have a great time while they're doing it. A little bit selfish, but they have fun, so it's fine. And the other kind of side of the coin is more organizations are learning that it could be beneficial to use dogs that are already adults, right? Versus the puppies. Dogs that are from shelter and rescue have kind of shown that in a busy, potentially packed, crazy shelter setting, they maintain their confidence, their friendliness, their drive, right? Like that's a pretty good test. And again, our shelter partners, we would be nowhere without them, and our rescue partners. We love them. And we definitely want to make sure that we're able to help them as much as possible. And that might mean, either giving them other outlets for dogs that might not be a fit for us, if we have other ideas, or taking this wonderful dog who might be taking up a lot of volunteer time, because again, they are very nice dogs and very fun to play with, but they need a lot of exercise. So we definitely have some organizations that are like, so yeah, that'll free up about 3 hours of volunteer time a day. Because they're fabulous. They're fabulous dogs and everybody loves them. They are literally like volunteer staff favorites all the time. They just are a lot of dog for the average. So Kathy asked a perfect question. How do we develop relationships like this? exactly like this. Reaching out, usually it starts with a single dog, but there are plenty of times that we have some awesome volunteers that work with me specifically, who are scouring Google for rescues and shelters again throughout the country. We're doing it state by state now. It's very exciting. And then myself, my recruitment counterpart Sylvia, are going through and literally cold calling. And we are just kind of getting the ball rolling, getting some ideas out there. Plenty of times, everybody, they are busy. They are working constantly, wearing many hats. So it is not atypical to not hear a response. But then a year later, we might get a hi, you emailed us last year and we might have a dog. That's it. That's all we need, right? We do quarterly newsletter, like emailed newsletters to our partners. We do gift boxes. We try and donate when we can. Again, spread the wealth, let our partners know that we want to be here for them when the opportunity is needed. And we are so appreciative of all they do all day, every day, even if we've never gotten a dog from them. We are just so appreciative of all that they do. So yeah, so that being said, and I'm going through my little questions here again. So yeah, so the other kind of side of that, besides just career change partners, is the sports high activity type setting. Southern California, we've got a lot of active people, fabulous for us in that regard. And we have had some adoptions that are a bit further out. We want to help make these perfect matches happen. And we're fortunate that we're able to be put in a position to do so. And with our dogs that go into another type of job or home setting, we have our lifetime care coordinator, Krista, who's amazing. Can't put it into words enough. And she is there literally checking in on every single dog, multiple times a year, every single dog. And a lot of the times it's volunteered because, our adopters, our career change, they're happy. They're proud of these dogs. Who doesn't want to talk about their dog? Come on now. So a lot of the time she'll just have it like, it is just sent to her, or whatever happens, like, oh, we've had a new baby. We've, done whatever, life events that have happened that the dog's been a part of, or even just cute pictures. A few yesterday, of some dog cat stuff, and it was actually two separate dogs that are in their high activity homes, and their cat siblings are like sleeping in their crates. I don't know how she got two on the same, like within the same time frame. It was pretty amazing. She's like, all right, so this is Dodger's cat, and sealing their crate. Okay, guess we're training cats now. So we are always like sharing these stories with each other internally, trying to share them on social when we can, the whole nine. In terms of Kelly just asked, how can someone become a handler? I'll address that really quick as well before we get into some video stuff. So it is the process to end all processes, right? It is like literally jumping through hoops. So the majority of our handlers are firefighters. So they start there, right? They are firefighters. That is their job full time. Through their fire departments, they then become part of the FEMA team that their fire department is associated with, that task force. And they can't just jump in as a canine handler. So they've got to do their firefighter time, and then they've got to do their task force time in different roles, getting the vibe for, I think they have to do a few different roles before they're approved to handle a canine. They, of course, watch the canines on their team. They're constantly learning a little bit here and there through them, but then they're assisting the task force with other things that need to be done. Eventually, they get approved by the task force to become a canine search specialist. They have to take all of that certification stuff through FEMA proper. And once they are a canine search specialist, and again, the task force has contacted us because we work directly with that task force, not the individual handler, or kind of, we got to go here and then we work with the handler. Then they kind of present, they need a dog for this handler. And then we kind of put them in the queue, right? For when we have dogs that are ready to get out and graduate and, conquer the world. So once they're approved that way, then they start their process with us, which is a lot. It's a whole online course. Like, it is like thorough with reading the whole nine, right? It is intense. They have to come out to us numerous times. They have to come out to us numerous times. They kind of start from like a bystander observer point of view when they first come out. And again, we kind of group them together to make it kind of work for our training program. And that way we keep track of kind of where everybody's at in terms of how many times they've been out, et cetera. And slowly they get their approval to start learning how to handle our dogs, handling our dogs in training. And eventually, once they have demonstrated to our training team and our handler ops team that they are ready, they are dedicated, they have the necessary dog handling skills kind of in their back pocket at this point, that they're ready to go. So, you know, it's like I said, our dogs are here for a long stay. These handlers are in it for a long stay for sure. By the time they are ready for a dog from us, I mentioned it earlier, they're beyond dedicated. They have proven their dedication over and over and over again. And that's the fun part now. So now we've got a pool of however many dogs are ready to go. They're basically ready to certify. Yes, I do have some flyers. I'll email a bunch of stuff to Kathy after this. And then everything can be disseminated. The more the merrier. Spread it out. We are happy. And you know, at that point in time, once we've got our dog candidates ready to go, and again, if one of our trainers were to take them to certify, they probably would. They are literally ready. Okay. Then we look at our handlers and we say, okay, all right. So who's gonna match with who? Like, let's go. It is a magical, beautiful, amazing process. You kind of see, we have many fence jumpers. Yep. Yep. Fence jumpers anonymous. Many of those. I'll tell you a funny story in a sec about fence jumping. Don't let me forget. So yeah, so they start working with our dogs that are ready, very, very closely. And we start to get a feel for, does it look like they're forming these bonds? Like, are the dogs telling us something about this person? Like, right? Does the dog act a little differently when they get them out versus somebody else? And I mean, really, they pick. It's like, it's unreal. And you kind of see it a little bit both ways too. The dog obviously gives you a little bit of signal, a little something extra. But you see the handler act a little differently. They might light up. They, you know, like something about this play and this time together is like, that's it. We also take family dynamic into account too, right? Again, our dogs are friendly. We get that. But a lot of them are larger and they don't quite know. They don't understand that they're not teeny little lapdog babies. So we take that into account. We say, okay, well, they've got kids. All right, just something to think about. Again, our dogs are friendly. They're nice with kids. We have some staff that sort of might volunteer, and volunteers that might volunteer their kids to, you know, just kind of be out and about, see how the dogs gauge things. And we do a lot of offsite training too. So we always are getting really, really good info on our dogs. They might have cats, they might have other dogs. Like, so it might say, okay, well, this dog, like, they're fine with dogs, but they're a bit more neutral. This dog loves playing with other dogs. We think they would really love having more dogs in their household to play with, right? So all of those things are taken into account, all of them. And then, yeah, we play matchmaker and it's magical and beautiful. And then that handler, during their 2-week kind of final go with us where it's immersive, they stay on site. The dogs, once they're matched, like live with them on site, like they go home with them at night, right? So they really just start to get this feel for living with this dog as well. And yeah, once the match is made, we, you know, the training team makes sure it's working. And then they graduate together. They come back again shortly thereafter for some additional training checkups, make sure everything is going well. So yeah, at any given moment, we are probably going to have varying levels of handlers that are ready to go, getting close, their first time there. So it is constantly moving. We're very busy. It's constantly moving, and definitely not stagnant. That is for certain. So with that in mind, oh yes, my fence jumper friend, love this. Okay, so this is another dog that's already certified, and he is a little escape artist for his family, Labrador, you know, nice guy. And he was picked up as a stray. brought to the shelter. His family came, they're like, oh, yep, he jumped the fence. Like, whatever, took him home. Well, short time passes, like a couple weeks, like very short time, maybe if that. Jumps the fence again, gets picked up again. Like, okay, well, the people come, they call people like, hey, he's back, they come get him, bring him home. Happens a third time. Instead of them picking him up somewhere, he goes to the shelter. He's at the shelter outside. He's outside. He's like, hey, I came here. Welcome. I like you guys. Like, what? Like, why are you doing this? His family, unfortunately for them, didn't come back this time. Fortunately for us, shelter called us because he's a tennis ball nut. So works for us. We love this guy. So yes, we absolutely take some fence jumping friends. So yeah, and he just was like I wish there was a video of this. Like, I would pay a lot of money to see this, but the way they described, they're like, yeah, he was just kind of here. He was outside. He was waiting for us to open. Like, what? Buddy, come on. So anyway, so that's him. Everything in terms of medical is all donation, literally donation. We handle everything. We have an on-site vet clinic. We have vets that come monthly, if not more, depending on what's going on. We have a registered vet tech on staff. So we got it going on in terms of all the routine care. And again, if anything above the average or above the norm happens, of course, we've got a lot of partnerships with some amazing vets, but yeah, we make sure everything is covered. We also have, coverage for our search dogs if anything happens. We are just, again, we're very lucky. We have a lot of great partners. Petco Love is one that helps us with some medical stuff as well. Yeah, basically, if there's anything with any of our dogs, we want to make sure it is taken care of and in the best possible care, right? So yeah, so once the dog is living with the person, there's another question Carol asked. Yes, they are their dog for life. They are their family member, they are their friend, they are their partner through retirement and beyond. We don't take dogs back upon retirement. That is their people. Our career change partners, we choose career change partners based on many things, training, positive training being kind of one of them. And then of course, thinking of what this life is going to be for this dog. So that's another thing we look for as well. We want our dogs to be members of the family forever, right? And for us, it's fun because we then get generations of search dogs. So we have some handlers that are on their third search dog from us. It's amazing, and it's cool because then like the older one can teach the other one some fun tricks, how to beg for things, etc. Right? So we love that. Yeah, Linda asked, what's the average number of years a dog can do this job? I mean, the short answer is varies, right? Depends on the dog. If anything happens, which we always hope not. Being on the younger side does kind of, we want to err on that younger side, that 1 to 2 year range. For that reason, we really want to make sure that these dogs have the longest career possible. Not just based on, yes, it's a money thing, right? We've all got kind of bottom lines here a little bit, but it's also just for their happiness, right? And safety. So, we have had dogs. So every 3 years, once a team gets certification, 3 years after that, and so on, they have to recertify. We've had dogs on their 3rd certifications, like pushing their 4th, like, so we're talking like 10, potentially 10 plus years, which is awesome. Part of that too is we instill in our handlers, we do a lot of conditioning on our dogs while they're with us. And we also, as part of their handler training, they learn how to do all of that. We also have grant funding that can help with equipment. So kind of fitness equipment, not that we use anything super fancy. Our dogs do tend to like the treadmill a lot. They like it, whatever. Hot day, cold day, snow, whatever, inclement weather. They go on the treadmill and they're just happy as can be. So little things like that we want to put out grant funding for as well. And our handler ops team is, oh my gosh, they're just amazing at finding all this stuff for us. And we have a full dedicated philanthropy team as well, who is constantly out there searching, working with our donors, our state donors as well. And they're doing it. They're making it happen for us and our dogs, which is fabulous. A few other things that I know Kathy had asked about were a couple other dogs that she kind of isolated. And again, on our website, I mean, we've got a ton of like stories. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. So definitely take your time with it. But if you're interested in looking at more dogs, go for it. We also have all of our search teams up there, the whole nine. So you can read little bios and all that good stuff. So a few dogs that Kathy kind of pointed out. So Raven, and these are all actually within the past, I think 4 years, 3-4 years. But there are many more. But I'll kind of do these three. What percentage of dogs graduate? So probably about half. I'd say about half, you know. Again, it varies, just kind of depends on the year, the month, whatever. But 100% of them are successful. Love that, right? Because they're finding their place, right? And they're not going to be in and out of a shelter, in and out of homes, out on the streets, the whole nine. So we're very happy with that 100% success rate. That is very fabulous for us. But yeah, about 50% will then go on to be paired with handlers. So the first that Kathy mentioned is Raven. So Raven's a little labby friend. And she was with the service dog trainer. A little too much for little too much. Not quite her bag. And she's Utah. And so she came to us, and she decided that, search training wasn't her bag, whatever. So, but she loved searching. It was the rubble. The rubble was just not her thing, not her favorite. Totally cool. So, but she loved the idea of finding the missing person. She loved that game so much. And now she's in training for Avalanche, which is amazing. She has an Instagram, I think, actually. She has an Instagram. Might be Avalanche Search Raven Avalanche _ yeah. So anyway, if you look up Avalanche Search Raven, you might find her. So Hank was another dog. I believe he was an owner surrender. And he came to us for all the right reasons. Wasn't a big fan of our job, and I'm keeping these like really, really brief because I do want to show you guys some video. Wasn't a fan of our work. Totally cool. So he went with a partner organization of ours out of Texas, who does basically what we do, donates the dog handler training, the whole nine, but for single purpose law enforcement. So they are kind of us of law enforcement. They took him in, they love him, and he is paired with his handler, and he is like, holy smokes, he is doing the work. This guy is like, he's incredible. He's a searching machine. He is keeping his community safe. He has definitely had some fines. We'll put it that way. He's had some fines. So the third dog Kathy pointed out was Callie. So Callie's a rescue. I love this. Like service dog org, owner surrender, rescue. So Callie's a rescue in North Carolina. And she again came to us for all the right reasons. And she kind of came out and just wasn't as intense as her videos were, right? Which is totally fine. She flew across country. She's in North Carolina. She like made a cross country trek here. And she came out very, very sweet. Not that she was afraid or timid necessarily, just the intensity of the brand new environment, after a couple weeks of decompression after travel, just wasn't her thing. Well, her foster from North Carolina was like, well, yeah, I think I need her back. And we're like, okay. We aren't always able to do this, but we were fortunate enough to be able to help with that, getting Callie back to North Carolina. Again, I don't want to put it out there as like this always happens, but if we can help, we want to. And yeah, so she literally was like, yep, I will take her back. And that is her. She had a cross-country journey. Now she's back home is kind of the way we were putting it, right? She came back home. She just needed a quick little peek into Southern California, see what it's about out here. And she's like, no, I'm an East Coast gal. We're going back. Thanks. She competes in agility. She's an amazing dock diver. Oh my gosh. Like, she's amazing. This little tiny mixed breed friend is just like soaring. I believe she might've been invited to Worlds. Anyway, amazing. And her human is thrilled. Again, this is the most complicated foster fail ever, right? But again, things happen for a reason. And Callie, we're very thrilled for her. And her person. So I think, let's see if I can't. I'm going to minimize that. And let me see if I can find this drone tour. Sorry, my dog is apparently coughing back there. I don't know why. All right, let me see if this will open for me because I want to show you guys this. Okay. All right. So let me minimize that. Y'all don't need to see my email open. Okay, I think I can, let me see if I can share the screen. It looks like I can. So let me see if we can't do that. There we go.
And I do
Let's-
have you set up to share screen too.
Okay, perfect. That's why I can't. I was like, it's giving me the option. So let's hope this.
Yeah, there
Okay,
we go.
can you guys see the screen? Yeah. There's 3 of my kids back there. Aren't they cute? Anyway, none of them are search dogs, by the way, just so we're clear. But they are adorable. So this is like a little, there's some talkie, but this is part of our site. I'm skipping through again, 140 acres, gorgeous, right? Like not even, this is when you enter. This is just what you see when you come through the gates. Yeah, it's amazing. Got some agility down there. Any of our dogs that, again, this isn't their bag, we might test them for agility, disc dog, you know, kind of you name it. We're gonna see what they might want to do. We'll put them through some stuff. So this is kind of our welcome center. So a lot of our offices are down here. This is our handler's lodge. So a fully functioning handler's lodge with bunk room and individual rooms. So when our handlers come out, they've got a place to stay, no problem. It's where we do our graduations. Our arena back here, I'm kind of circling over, is where you can see a lot of agility waiting out there. Direction control field, we teach our dogs to respond to directions at a distance with whistle signals. We've got our residence back here, some outdoor kennels for some decompression. This is Search City, aptly named. We actually have a tilted building here. It is to code, if you believe that. We got a tilted building to code to simulate, hey, earthquake, this is awkward. Tons of shopping carts in there. That's always fun for the dogs. And then again, getting them used to some interior searches, what that's going to look like. Again, here's our tilted house. It is a trip. It is a trip for our handlers too. Dogs actually don't seem to care, which is really funny, but some facades here with some debris. Yep, we get cars donated, office furniture. This is our main rubble pile. So we got all sorts of stuff. Collapsed freeway. This is one of our teams that was out in the moment, this drone footage. We've got train cars back here. Again, one on its side, which is pretty rad. Hundreds upon hundreds of hides that are engineered thoughtfully, set up throughout our campus. And this is kind of the back end view of it. We're not even really utilizing all of our space, which is cool. But again, we love the natural beauty. We've got a lot of hiking trails, etc. So that's that one. And then what I want to do is, here's a website, love that for us. So I'll just do a quick toy selection video. This is one of our dogs, Happy Tail. You see a little bandage on her little tail, little tiny girl. So we're just throwing toys out there, and we ask our shelters to kind of do this. And you can see she's like, yes. She's never been in this area before, by the way, just so we're clear. Never been here before. This is how toy focused she is. And she says, this one, maybe that one, maybe this one, maybe that one. I like that one. She goes, yay, tug with me, let's play. She came from a shelter in Utah. Good girly. All right, and then here we've got a ton of video. Again, we don't have that much time left, but let's go through. So this is one of our first tests so we do a stranger reaction, person getting them out of kennel, dog reaction. We want to see what that looks like with a neutral dog nearby. So retrieves and possession is sort of one of our baseline toy drive, toy focus tests. And I'll send, one of the things that I'm going to send to Kathy is our full evaluation document. So you guys can come and refer to all these because we won't have time for all of them. So this test is in a brand new spot for the dog. We require that, which again, for our shelter partners might be challenging, but we say an indoor space works, outdoor on a long line, we're very open, right? We want to make this as successful as possible. So we're very open to some troubleshooting and all that good stuff. It just has to be a spot the dog has not been before. We want to see their full reaction to their favorite toy being kind of pulled out. And ideally it's going to be, yay, we're playing whatever their game of choice is. So we're doing 4 throws. And then on the 5th throw, we time a full minute. During this minute, we want to see that the dog possesses the toy in some capacity. You're going to see that this dog drops it at our handler's feet. Is actually our training and behavior director, Mandy. She's amazing. She handles 2 search dogs. And he's like, hello, you're broken. Excuse me. Hello, excuse me. And this is all natural. She's just ignoring him, not telling him to do anything. And you can see he's like, throw. You throw? Look at him laying down. So nice. This is not a trained dog. This is how he came to us. This is it. This is our fence jumper. Aren't you excited? You get to see him in action. But he is in it. He's not going off sniffing, doing something else. He's like, you broken. You broken. Get a little vocalization in there. We love to see a barking dog. There you go. Good puppy. The first thing we actually teach our dogs is to bark for their toy. The opposite of what most people would like in their life. Our dogs are trained for a bark alert. So we actually literally use that. It is part of their training. It is part of their foundation work. We want them to scream. Out on a deployment, they're off, right? They are released. They are off searching independently of their handler. We, like I mentioned, this direction at a distance with whistle cues. We use the whistle because they're going to hear it a lot better than a human voice. So we have that built in for recall, etc., some directionals. But you know, they're away from their person, hundreds of feet, right? Searching, doing their job. We cannot keep up as humans. And so that bark alert is needing to be heard from who knows how far away. So we always work with our dogs, and we have definitely had some dogs that didn't work for our program because we couldn't get them to bark, which sounds really weird, but it's true. Especially some of the herding type dogs, think border collie, think Aussie, think the stare, right? They're kind of bred for that. They're bred for like, wait for it to move, stare at it till it moves, right? They're visibly shaking with anticipation, but the vocalizing doesn't always happen, and that's okay. So those kids might do great in another type of job where, you know, a down is their alert, a sit is their alert, a stare is their alert, right? And they do amazingly well. So after we're done that, we have our field hunts. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these. So the field hunt, we're looking to see, okay, once this toy goes hidden from view, what does the dog do? Do they just say, well, it's gone now, I guess I'm done, you know, do something else? Do they go out and kind of look for it, but then kind of look at the handler like, what? Like, I don't get it. You know, we want to see that these dogs sprint from their handler to go find their toy. Once they realize they can't see it, they turn on that nose. Again, these are not trained dogs that I'm showing you. That dog is like, I'm going. Like, no, unclip you from harness. We do a spin in case they visually mark it. We want them to not really do that. And you see, like, literally sprinting in this area. Never been here before. Never been here. She doesn't care. And you can see she's like, wait, what do I do? And then you can start to see, whoa, she just turned around real quick. She was like, I smell it. And she whipped right back and look, she comes right back to, like, not trained, right? It's incredible. So this next bit, we're gonna do here. So what we do is we do that immediate release with a little spin in a circle. Then we actually add time to that. So we'll do an immediate release, a 15-second release, and then a minute release. We want to see that during these delays where they are with that handler waiting to be released to go into the search area, they're getting frustrated. We want to maybe hear some vocalizing. We want to see that they're like, please let me go. They're anticipating, they're ready. We want to see that they sprint away right into the search area. And they're just in it to win it, right? And then again, the most important, we want to see if they turn on that nose and don't need to look to the handler. Of course, you know, there's some troubleshooting involved, which is kind of where I'm going next. The first would be, okay, you have a bad throw. All right, cool. You can replace the toy. That's fine. No problem there. Rethrow it. Let them get the easy one that they can see. And then do another throw. We're cool with that. It might be in an area that's not accessible to the dog. We do want the dog to get the toy. We want them to be able to grab it. So that might also warrant a rethrow. I think it's on the 15-second. And then the other thing is, what if you don't have this area? Again, shelters, some of our urban shelter partners especially, they don't have this, right? They're not able to get out and take the dog to who knows where to kind of do a field hunt in an actual field. So we got some troubleshooting for that. So we kind of make like stuff piles, stuff areas. This is in our classroom on site. Again, this is a dog that now is certified, but was not at this moment. She was not trained. You can see her scream. You can see her screaming, right? She's like, hello, hello. No, it's not this one. It might be another one. But anyway, if so, say the person throws the ball, it lands here. So you let her go get it if she can jump up and get it, or they just take it back, try again, right? So you see during that delay, she was mad, she's ready to go. And this is cool because you can see that there are no eyes. She kind of passed right by it. She passed by it. She's not using her eyes at all. Like, what? It's so cool. It's amazing. And this is all natural. There she goes sniffing. Now she used her eyes towards the end there, right? Very good girl. I'm trying to think if I end up doing just, nah, it's just the same thing. Let me see, it's this one. I'm going backwards, not forwards, but I don't think we did this one. Anyway, but you get the, I think you guys get the gist on that. So then what we're looking for, again, you saw our beautiful rubble. We have a ton of it. This is what our dogs work on because it's the hardest type of surfacing to search on, and be confident doing that on. So then we do what we call a tactile nerve assessment. So for that, again, no, who's got access to a rubble pile? I certainly don't. So, so we need to see that our dogs, again, are pretty confident on some weird surfacing. So we'll do like, here's an indoor version. We just set up some little Kuranda beds, some FitPaws equipment, random chairs, towels on the ground, right? A little slipperiness, obviously safety first, you know, not trying to make anybody go a little crazy here, but you can see it's a little toss in the corner there. So the dog has to go over this stuff. Dog's being held back. This dog was in the running for a service dog. No, 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 no. He said, absolutely not. I am way too active for this stuff. Now he's on one of our Virginia forces, but he has no problem. You can see him doing a little hunting there too. Look at him using that nose. Again, not trained. This is how he came. It's amazing. Yeah. And then we have a couple other, this is in one of our houses that you guys saw in Search City. Couch is not a big deal, but a table sure is. There you go. There you go. Look at that. On the way back, a little table action. And then again, just some ideas. No problem. And this little kid is with a conservation group. She loved our program, loved everything about it. Oh, here's our tilted house. Look at how whack this is. It's so weird. Isn't that disconcerting? It's like, again, dogs don't care. They literally don't care. We care way more than they do. And here's one of our facades, and this is another service dog. But so the previous little black pointy girl, she is with the conservation org, like I mentioned, and she was not a huge fan of like kind of being on a team with other dogs. That was just not going to be her bag. Not like overt aggression, but just not as comfortable, right? So we found her a great gig doing conservation. She's in the woods with her handler all day, getting to search out like invasive species, you know, endangered species, the whole nine, whatever their project is at the moment. And this little kid is certified. She's like, do I go this way? What do I do? Again, not trained. He's just jumping over stuff like it's nobody's business. No cares. Living his life. And you can see that he's still searching. He's not giving up, even though it wasn't necessarily meant to be a hunt. He's kind of throwing that in there himself. And this, I think this is the end of it. Yeah. Look at him. He literally puts himself on this wood. It's like a little teeter-totter. He doesn't care. And he puts himself back on it. He's like, I just go up here now and it just moves and I don't really care. These are the dogs we're looking for, right? They're just like, they're so exceptional. And then the last is a little noise test. Essentially, they're playing with a toy and a bucket. I mean, you can imagine the sound. It's very loud. And we just want to see if they don't have a problem. This kid does not have a problem at all. He is certified as well at this point. He came from Washington. Oh no, this is from Washington. I can't remember. I think that other one was Utah. I think he's certified too. But cool. All right, I'm going to unshare my screen. There you go. Okay, cool. So I know we're pushing the limits of the end here. Are there any kind of burning questions that anybody else has? You can pop them in the chat. Or I don't know, Kathy, if you want to have people speak. I'm good. Everybody good? Cool. All right, awesome. Anything to add, Kathy?
Well, I don't know. I love this. This is absolutely terrific because, you see videos on Facebook or whatever of dogs at disaster sites, but you don't have any idea what precipitated that,
Yeah.
what
Mhm.
training they had. And so this was really, really great. And what I want to do at this point, and then maybe I encourage those of you who are on this call to do it too. If you have a favorite shelter or rescue, you're going to get the recording, and you're going to get the Facebook information that Katie has on the chat.
Mhm.
Anyway, I'm going to send that out to everybody, and I encourage you to
Awesome.
reach out to the shelters that you have a relationship with and provide them that information. If you know someone, that would be the best thing.
Yeah.
Call and say, hey, just saw the coolest thing. I wanted you to be aware of it. And if you have any dogs that kind of fit this,
Always.
yes, get in
Yeah.
touch with Katie. So,
And I'll include too, we actually have, it's me talking more, so I apologize for that. But we have a full like webinar that we've put out on our Thinkific site. I'll send the link for that as well. It's free, totally free. It kind of goes through all that we've talked about, but also those videos that I started showing you in pretty great detail. We also have examples of quote unquote fails, right? The videos that don't quite go as planned, just to give that kind of idea for that difference between the dogs that were like, they passed this test, this test not so much, and why. It's a little bit more in depth, which is pretty cool. And like I said, totally free. I'll include that as well. The more the merrier. Again, the more people out there looking, the better. We got to get these kids out of the shelter, out of the rescue, out of their homes if they're causing a little bit of mischief for their owners. Get them where they need to be. We want to help make that happen if we can, even if they're not exactly the perfect fit for us.
yeah. Katie,
Cool.
thank you so much. This was
You're
absolutely
welcome.
wonderful. We really appreciate your time.
Of course, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you all again so much. And I
All right.
know that you guys are involved in all sorts of different things with ministry, with maybe shelter rescue. So thank you all for all that you do as well. Because again, it's a great wide community out there. And the more of us that are in contact and acting as the community that we should be, I think the better off we are and the better off the animals are for sure. So thank you guys again. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks everybody, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Absolutely. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.